I remember at school in Fort William, and we're actually all from outside Edinburgh, and in Lochaber High School, the boys had complete control of sixth form common room, remember, and they used to the record player, and it was non-stop heavy rock crap. It was Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, and girls just did not go into that room. But we were going home every night, and every night 10 o'clock, John Peel, who's got to be mentioned by everybody really, Under the Covers and John Peel, and just when you heard like Anarchy in the UK on your wee radio, Under the Covers, it was just like...
And the Slits, and...
It was just, and it changed everything instantly, really, didn't it?
One thing that really changed me was actually seeing Gaye down in Princess Street. And you were down, I think it was like I don't know, it was like Versailles Food Hall or somewhere really sort of uncool. But you were down there with Fritz, and I was in my school uniform in Edinburgh, and I remember seeing Gaye, and I thought, I really want to know her, and I really want to know what they're into. And then very shortly after that, I knew Hilary and Bob Fast, and then it all started gelling together, what was happening in Edinburgh at that time. But we went on, and it was quite male-dominated, though. I mean, it was mainly blokes that you were meeting. And I know myself, going along to gigs and things, you did feel quite vulnerable because you didn't have other people to go along with, particularly your school friends, because you were discovering this outside school. So you'd go along feeling with a bit of trepidation, but the adrenaline was huge to actually go along to these early punk gigs, sometimes by yourself or dragging a friend along, just to be able to meet, and start to speak to the likes of these girls here.
Because you could spot them a mile off, couldn't you? It was like it was like pheromones or something. You could be walking down, everybody looked the same in 70s-ish, and you could spot somebody at the other end of the street and go, haha, possibly one of us, couldn't you? And then you just spoke to them, and it became,
yeah.
And it was quite scary because we were a very, very small number of women in a as you say, an almost mostly male scene, and and some parts of that were quite intimidating and quite strange. If you were close to the front of a gig and everybody's pogoing, and sometimes there'd be a guy behind you who was almost raping you from behind because and you'd turn round and there'd be a lot of blank faces and you couldn't work out who it was.
You were going to say with an erection game, weren't you?
I was. With a hard on, but and I think that we didn't feel assertive enough to complain about that, but
well, we're in quite a vulnerable position anyway.
I mean, we're walking about with ripped fish tights, tiny little, which we were wearing ironically and in a revolutionary way as a protest against sweet, pretty, well-behaved women. But the fact is, you're going about by yourself at 2 a.m. wearing a tiny bit of plastic and ripped fishnets, and then getting in a rage when people were shouting, "Who're tart, slut at you." So it was. So
certainly for forming a band like the Ettes, I mean, we were sort of a bit fed up being bystanders, really.
Yeah, totally.
And I remember after a few incidents like that, getting really angry. One of the times also was I was staying in a bedsit in Annandale Street, and somebody had stolen something from one of the rooms. So there was a young policeman up, and we were going to go and see the Slits in the Odeon. So my friend Dan and I were getting all our stuff on and ready, and the rest of the flat had young male students who were totally straight. And we were going out the door and said, "Oh, well, where are you going? Where are you going?" And they said, "Oh, we're going to see the Slits in the Odeon." And the policeman said, "Oh, aye, the sluts more like." And but we were just totally powerless in those days, really, to do anything about that. But I remember being thinking, that's not quite right. You shouldn't be allowed to have said that, And I didn't think it was actually dressed very provocatively anyway. But that provoked us, I think, really to do something about it. Mm. And by forming a band, really, I formed an all-girl band with 2 other girls, Anne and Teen. And standing up there on stage, you really... We're taking in control in some way and being able to write songs and shout back at the audience, not anybody in particular, but have a platform for actually to be able to express yourself and say something about the situation we're in, and to hell what anybody thought about it.
I think fast products. No, I think there's like circles of so that you tended to hang with the people who were not. I mean, Hillary and Bob.
So
not,
within our circle, people
and the
were.
fire engines.
Within our
absolutely
circle,
not.
we were very passionately against. We felt we were changing things in a big way. We felt almost euphoric. We wanted a non-homophobic, non-sexist, non-racist world, and we were rejecting a lot of the prejudice that was all around us, and hence all the anti-Nazi gigs and our big gay following and whatnot.
There was a lot of, I think there were people who went more for the clothes than to me it was about a philosophy more than.
But we were very aware that outside our social circle, that there was a lot more prejudice.
But within the punk scene, it was very equal, very accepting. Absolutely, I would say.
And it was a fantastic time for people who looked different.
Yeah, particular people. I mean, it sort of went out into the peripheries, but in the core scene, who we were mixing with, like scars and fire engines and things.
I mean, that changed later when it got to like Oi and.
Well, yeah.
Trying not to mention exploited, although more charming people you could hardly meet.
Yeah.
But
I
mean,
the
exploited followers, I think, very roughly, exploited themselves. Delightful, pretty much. John Duncan's still a good friend.
Yeah. No, Watty was good to us as well. Gave us lots of gigs in the early days. Yeah.
Gary McCormack.
But it was the people that came along to the gigs. So within our social circles and the bands we knew, absolutely everything was really, I think, on an equal par, and respect was there. But when you got up when you got up on stage, there was always the get them off stuff going on constantly. Yeah. But expecting to have sex afterwards and all that sort of thing.
We've never had a groupie in our life.
We were never offered. We never had one groupie offer. And I think men were just frightened. They were scared of us. They were scared of us because there were so few women doing what we were doing.
I've never got chatted up in my life in a band. No, never.
No. But I mean, the reason I mentioned the homophobia thing was that because. When we left school, we had hair down to here, and I went into a hairdresser's and took in a photo of Sid Vicious and said, I want my hair cut like this. And the hairdresser was cutting off my long hair and saying, I'd be crying if I was you. But because we looked quite, in our teens, we looked quite androgynous, some misunderstandings did ensue. And I got chased down House Street one day by 4 drunken rugby fans in their late 30s with big beer bellies shouting fucking poof, who wanted to batter me. And fortunately I was able to run faster than them, but it gave me a taste of what it was like for gay men at that time.
It was actually quite a gay scene as well, wasn't it? It was with a lot of gay friends. And I think it's all the oddbods and the misfits,
it was about rejecting what was conventional and
making your own version of your DIY version of how it should be. And
but the other thing, I mean, I remember going back, say, you'd been supporting a band and you went back into the dressing room to get your guitar and get it back into the case or whatever, and actually people thought you were a groupie coming in.
Oh, totally.
I mean, they wouldn't think you were part of what had happened that night in the entertainment side, that you were, just because you were backstage, you were a groupie, weren't you?
Except for, remember Pretenders at Tiffany's, and Chrissy Hind came out and actually got us and took us backstage and said, help yourself to beer, and there's all the sandwiches, and she was absolutely fantastic and talked to us like
she was a fine gal.
She was amazing. Everybody in that band
possibly wanting other women around, though.
Could well have been. I mean, there was she was definitely an influence, just because,
definitely.
I mean, I've known Hillary since I was about 15, because Anne, who was in the Ettes, was actually her little sister, so I knew Hillary very well through really more family than before Fast Product, and but she was very. I found her really quite a fantastic person at the time, and I, for a short time, was in the Flowers with her, and I do know that. I mean, she'll speak for herself later, but she was very strong about the sexist macho side about things, and she liked also other girls to be around because she felt sometimes very alone, being in the band full of men.
She used to
give quite a bit.
She used to give me work at Fast, not doing anything important, like babysitting the cat or babysitting the Human League once. I had to entertain them for an evening. It didn't really go that way. I just took them out and got them completely shit-faced. But and I remember when Being Boiled arrived at in Lauriston, the flat in Lauriston Place, and the cat didn't like me and climbed at all the records were sitting beside the mattress that I was sleeping on, and the cat got on the top, and because I wouldn't get up to feed it, pissed right the bed. So be about 1,000 Being Boiled records. If you got one that smelled of cat pee, that was my lack of
Cat
care.
But Hilary certainly did encourage about joining a band and and how to go about it and not to be messed up or whatever by other people, and to stand your ground, and certainly learned a lot from
And
her.
she didn't come across as a girlfriend. It was Bob and Hilary. She wasn't
No.
Bob's girlfriend.
No,
it was
no,
Bob
she
and
was a
Hilary.
very
Mhm.
notable figure in herself.
Well, as I say, we were just like one evening just thought, well, we're just a bit fed up being ignored and would quite like to do something ourselves. And we actually got a gig offered by Joe Callis, who by that time had just formed Shake with Troy Tate. And we actually hadn't written any songs yet or anything. And it was, I think it was the only gig we ever got paid for as well, but it was at the Astoria. And said, yeah, the Ettes are going to be supporting. And, we weren't even a band. So we dashed down to, I think it was Boston and Leith Walk, and bought a guitar and a bass. And, I mean, how punk can you get than that? And it was sort of like DIY. But then the inspiration began to flow. And, knowing Hilary and that she was writing songs, just she gave us encouragement in that. But we're very much independent, or, did it ourselves. And... yeah, so that's just how it went, and really, I don't think, we didn't really do the rehearsal thing or anything like that. We just drank a lot and got on stage, made a bit of a noise, and a statement. And some people got us, some people didn't. I mean, there was a lot of people that didn't get us, but the ones that did happened to be quite influential in the scene at the time. And there was Simon Best from Fast. He recorded a demo for us after the first 2 weeks. In Teen's living room with her mum and the white terrier or whatever, and Simon was up in the bathroom and some leads and things were coming down into the living room, and I remember I had to sing a song with fucks in it, and I just couldn't do it in front of her mum. So even on the demo, I'm still sort of singing along. That's how polite we were, so just from there, I'm sure Gaye and Rachel say the same. I mean, it's just like a roller coaster. Once you actually have the guts and get up and do something, and then people see that you're doing something a little different, there's a lot of opportunities come along after that.
And people, you have to say it worked slightly well for us being slightly different, that girls in it. I mean, you would.
It did.
So you would get offered gigs and.
There was no shortage of being offered gigs, and really quite good ones as well, with big audiences. We're not just talking, 2 or 3 people standing in the pub. I mean, they were all big gigs, because Edinburgh was really alive at that time, and everybody wanted to go and just see everything that was going on.
I remember there was only 2 nights you stayed in, because we're out Thursdays was JJ's. I mean, they were out basically 5 nights a week. I don't know how we afforded it now, but we're out 5 nights a week, weren't we?
Ligging,
At gigs, ligging,
yeah.
yes. So, and always seeing gigs. So we changed managers as much as we changed musicians, and picked, like, Jules, our manager. Oh, he had another line of work, which we'll not go into. It meant we were permanently slightly fuzzy in the head. And I remember when we did play Soft in Prison, which we did a couple of times, when we went in, you get a bus, and as we were going in the gate, Jules turned round to us and said, "Do you think we'll be searched?" And we went, "Well, probably." And he went, "Oh my God," and produced a lump of hash about that size and swallowed it in a lump. So he had an interesting experience of that, because I think it kicked in about halfway through the set.
I think so.
He was standing there and he was suddenly going.
But Saughton was very scary the first time we played there, because we played to 400 lifers, and we realised we got a wee taste of what it felt like to be. Help me out here, Rachel. I've just had a mental blank.
Terrified.
No, I'm thinking of a particular musical performer.
Johnny
Quentin.
Cash.
Thank
Yes.
you. We got a wee taste of what it felt like to be Johnny Cash because we walked into the room and 400 lifers all stood up simultaneously. We walked on stage and they all stood up simultaneously, and we had 400 lifers shouting at us, "We love you!" And Rachel and I were so nervous that our knees were knocking, and we could hardly dance because our knees were knocking so much. But we got, I mean, they hadn't seen women for years. It was an easy audience, really.
It was a safe crowd.
But we got asked back, and then we got our Saughton Prison fan club, which was good.
Which was nice.
But
we were never really we weren't really very professional or forward thinking. I mean, at one point,
No.
Mary Wilson we did, and the Wilsations, we loved her, and we did quite a lot of gigs with her. And she organised a thing for us in her house in London where she said, Sonny are very interested in you, and she organised a party for us. And we had to go down and meet these guys from Sony. So the only people in the band that could be bothered were me and Rory. And when we turned up, we found out it was a free bar. And within about an hour, we were so drunk that we were sitting on the back corner of the wall. And I was going, "You crawl and get more." No, he was going, "No, it's your turn. You crawl." And we were crawling along the floor, getting more drink, coming back. And then we passed out, and then that was that, and we didn't get signed. So it wasn't really. We didn't really have our eye on the prize.
John
Missed
Peel.
opportunities.
I mean, John Peel did his best. We did 3 Peel sessions, and
He
they
was
were
lovely to
and they
us.
were good, and we should have taken it further, but we didn't. But it was so chaotic.
We were
and-
just having fun, really.
We were just
Yeah.
having fun, and we
There was no future plan, was there?
No,
Very
not
much
at
for the
all.
moment. Yeah.
was. And we actually recorded one of our best songs ever with Alan, and it was due to be put out on Radio 4th the next day, and Wilf Smarties was. I'm not going to comment on his state of mind that night, but when we sat beside the radio, as we did in the old days, when we sat beside the radio the next day to hear what it sounded like, because we thought it sounded fantastic on the night, fantastic, we realised that it was at the wrong speed.
Oh, I forgot about that.
It was far too slow. So
It
Wilf
was pretty Louis Armstrong.
Will fucked that one up big style.
We can sing that low now.
That was a shame because Alan Rankin was one of the people musically that we admired. He and Billy Mackenzie, we admired them hugely. And so we were so thrilled to get to record with them.
And there was somebody else we admired hugely there. Do you remember?
Joe?
No.
Oh.
Wilf said, when you come along to the studio, okay, I've got somebody helping me out. Don't laugh when you see him. Don't laugh. You're not going to laugh? What? It's Woody from the Bay City Rollers. He's a little bit fatter than he was when he was in the band, but don't laugh. But I mean, this is it wasn't, the Bay City Rollers weren't that much in the past. So we turned up and Woody opened the door, all smiles and happiness, and he was gigantic. He was huge. And we went, but he was very professional, Mr. Merster.